This is Anthem Tips and Tricks. So I'm at the point in the game where I'm at sort of a really boring area where they expect me to go collect treasure chests in order to progress in the main story. I'm not kidding, it's hilarious. So I thought I'd do some fun stuff, and that's how I'm going to spend my time here. So when you're moving around, speed and kind of your flying is everything. When you go downwards, it actually declines your overheating. And if you go towards colder areas, notice the bar, that's the overheating bar. Colder areas will also completely cool your javelin, and on the left hand side it'll say cooled. So we're going to build that up again just so you can see it. Well, we're just in a cooled area, so we're not having any problems. Okay, now it's building up, setting the white bar going, and then if we go down a bit, it decreases, or if we go into a cool area, it will cool off and completely restart. It's an important element because flying is everything in this game. When you're flying, you can also click in the right stick and you go into sort of an aiming stance so that you can use this as an area to unleash your abilities, your skills, and kind of get a good clear shot on enemies when you are moving around. Don't let your bar overheat because you won't be able to use it for quite a while, and that can be annoying.
Passengers, I think they're inside the cargo bay.
Cool. So you also have the double jump. This is great for getting to places. You just kind of fly around in this game and take like a ton of damage, it doesn't matter. You got your burst, which is B or console equivalent, and it really is a huge advantage when you're trying to escape from enemies. Constantly be using this in order to move out of the way. I don't think those are too much of a threat. Great, so you can generally sprint too if you're on the ground. I suggest doing that to keep yourself moving. And just kind of move in and out between flying and running along the ground because, you know, you can't overheat yourself, otherwise you're just going to completely slow your progress down. When you're in combat, do not be afraid to use elevation. There's a lot of people usually playing in a team. You've got your whole squad. Always keep moving. Never stand in one spot, because if you stand in one spot, you're going to get shot. And that's not a good thing because you can actually die, and it's a bit of a, well, you get revived, but it's a huge issue because everybody's going to stop what they're doing. They got to put shields up, and yeah, it's nasty. So use elevation because enemies are a lot less likely to hit you when you are elevated on them. There's many opportunities and levels. If you're in small little caves and you don't really have a lot of room for movement or for using elevation to your advantage, try to keep yourself moving back and forth and do not stand in one spot, or try to find a little bit of like a crevice or something like this, you know, just something that sticks out as a way to block shots when you are getting attacked. Now this is pretty light in tempo. There's not many enemies here because I am in the free play experience, but when you are fighting, there's a lot of enemies that are present. You can hold X to switch between your weapons, and generally use your power-ups. So RB and LB are just essential items in this situation. You're going to level those, and you're going to increase them in the forge when you get new items for finishing levels. Scrap all the stuff you don't use, like I don't like shotguns, or I'm not using any pistols, so just automatically salvage them so you don't have to go through them later. And constantly be looking for better items as you progress. Now the LB and RB ability is super helpful. I typically suggest something like a bit of a shield. So this blocks shots, and it can be a real lifesaver when my shields are down. So you see in the top left, I've got a bit of a shield, kind of like in Halo. And it does take a second or so to actually charge once it's damaged. Your health goes by really fast, so you know it's good to manage that. I also like the ability of just the quick little kind of grenade launcher. It reminds me of Mass Effect, and I think it's a very helpful ability when you are sort of fighting guys. Enemy shield users are particularly difficult, and they follow the same rules you do. Once you got that shield down, they're an easy kill, so use your side abilities, which replenish fairly fast in order to knock them down. Every class has a sort of ultimate, but I mean it kind of varies, so I just kind of like randomly wave around and then fire away after I've locked onto a few people. Didn't do a very good job there because I didn't know there were so many, but whatever. You can also do like a bit of a medium thing where you jump up and then you tap the RB in order to get into this sort of elevated shooting position. This helps in areas where you're not exactly having a ledge like up there in order to shoot from an elevated position in order to tackle any situation. So just jump up and get into it for a quick elevated position and attack. So there's a couple different orbs that fall on the ground. These are important. Here we get ammo. Ammo actually does run out sometimes when you're really fighting for long times, so it's good to keep that up. We got the red, so that's a bit of your armor. Kind of keep that because it's really important for your health, especially if you've been getting damaged with your shield. You need to have that secondary option sitting there. If you're fighting these guys, the shield ones, which you do quite a bit in this, do a double jump over them and then you'll have a few seconds. When you're fighting enemies, you'll notice when you're actually doing a lot of damage is when they'll highlight parts on them. So I shoot there, it's kind of like, eh. But if I shoot there, the barrels, you see those are really highlighted in the white there. Those are good spots to hit. Kind of like if you played Lost Planet, the little orange mushy stuff. But I mean, it's kind of like that in any game. Great things to shoot. Because right now, you're not really doing any damage. But once he takes it back to you by doing the double jump, you're able to do a lot more damage and finish him off fairly quickly. Then we got the white orbs. Ooh, ow. So my shield's down. Get a good example of how long that takes to charge. See, it's actually quite a bit, especially when you're in really intense combat. That could be your downfall. So this is the open world. I'm in a bit of a free play, like I mentioned. So yeah, it's kind of like whatever, you're just going around doing stuff. I have missions, so I am keeping that in mind as I'm going and doing things. There's world activities, and then there's a ton of things like this. So this is a mineral harvesting thing, really, right now. Come on, guys. I'm trying to show something off to the people. Attacked by these critters that live on the landmass. They're very hostile. Sorry, we're just gonna have to take this guy out. I'd use the Y punch ability sparingly, mostly as a finisher when enemies have about, I'd say, 40% or less health. That's when you should use it. Otherwise, not really worth it. So you saw that little plant thing there. Well, I guess that was a mineral. But you hold X on it, or the console equivalent, or a platform equivalent, I guess. I have another one here. And then you're getting materials from it. So you actually need stuff because you can get ember from this, and that's an important sort of crafting. Well, it's all crafting material. And it is beneficial to go around actually collecting this while you are adventuring around. Just because, you know, you want to have those materials when you go to craft like new items or weapons. It's essential for that experience. So just do it while you're playing missions. If you are in free play, you might as well grab them while you are flying around. I personally suggest trying to find missions to do while you're doing things because they'll kind of finish your secondary objectives. Like me having to do a treasure chest find, which is kind of ultra lame in my opinion. And I'm going to score it a lot lower because of that. Because that's lazy as hell. But yeah. Cool. So I guess we'll go to that in a sec. But we're going to talk about the map. So the game has a map. Use the map to your advantage. It tells you where everyone is. It has a legend. It kind of lets you know what's happening. It's also how you end your free play segments or other things. You can see all your tracked feats and stats right there. Very easy to understand. You see your level. Pretty easygoing map. Very simplistic. Lets you know what happens. You can zoom in and out a bit, and you can use it to respawn as well. And it gives you a tracking indicator as to where you've been. So if you ever get lost and you don't know where you're going, you can easily see basically a straight route of where you've been and what you've taken to get to where you're going. And it's helpful for putting an indicator mark just so you know where you're headed at any point like that, and you can close the legend if you need to. And then we got the back. So this lets you know what your quest is, you know, your main quest, what you're doing. There's like a stronghold I can go and tackle, and the feats. Challenges are a great way to see what you've done. So you can go to the expeditions and you can actually get a sense of what you've finished and what you're finishing right now for all the missions in the game. So we go to free play, and for this particular mission you actually go here and you can see how much you need. So I need to do more world events in order to finish that, and I need to do more defeats here, and this one I need to go do combo things, and here I need to go and collect treasure chests and collectibles, whatever those are. But I've gotten some of them, so that's cool. Yeah, and that's how I progressed in the main story, is by going and doing that, because it's a critical mission, or your like main story kind of missions that you need to do. There's a full library in case you need any information on things, and you can go to your armory to kind of see like ranger gear and get details on stuff and understand everything. There's tutorials built in too, and the game will constantly tell you when you need to be doing things. You can turn that off obviously, but you know, it just gives you an indication of things and what your goals are and your motivations. Yeah, I know, pretty exciting, right? Stay clear of turrets. They're really nasty things to deal with. But if you are fighting them, try to hide or stay out of the way and let other people deal with them and know what they're doing. Especially if you're like a newer player, because they are just like the most deadly of things. Yeah. There's a bunch of different areas too, so it is kind of split up. You can see the kind of cross lines of the border regions. Map's just really helpful for letting you know what's happening. And yeah, we're going to end the free play and kind of go to the main area to talk about stuff in there. So we do that again by going to the map. So like I mentioned previously, you get to see your loot before you end. Just obviously some things you know you're not going to ever use. Just get rid of them before you have to deal with it. You have tons of slots available, but you don't want it to fill up and be like, ugh. When you finish the mission, you can choose where to go. I usually go to the Forge once I'm done, as that is a place where you are able to customize and choose armor points, and it's the next kind of area that I wanted to go over, because it is something that you are going to be using to pick it if you want a new javelin once you get to a point where you can unlock them. And it's where you choose all of your components. So you get more slots, and as you level, you get additional slots. Pick what works well for you and your style, and just salvage anything that's lower. I didn't really care too much because I got so many of these things, but yeah, there's lots of options. I pick things that kind of increase your damage and your ability to survive in the world, but you might want something that improves like your grenades or your weapon damage. Choice is entirely up to you. Try to keep your stuff up to date with the abilities, and then get rid of lower level things that are useless. You can obviously craft stuff with materials as you collect them. Lots of different slots. You got the weapon slots here. Trying to get something better, obviously, over time, and then getting rid of the weaker things. I like to have machine guns. I don't find that shotguns are insanely helpful in this because you're not really close range a lot. I wouldn't really use a sniper either because the gameplay is really fast-paced, but it's up to you. Increasing gun damage, that's pretty cool. I guess we'll use that because it's a little bit better. And you really got to take a look at like the bars. They tell you what the improvements are, what areas are better, and that just kind of lets you know what is up. So there's also the appearance tab, but I'm not really going to go over that too much because it's not really tips and anything like that. That's just more customization. You can buy shards with real money, or well, yeah, shards with real money. You can use shards to buy things, or you can actually use in-game currency. Trying to find where that is. Yeah, kind of I think in the paints, and then you can tab over to buy. So you're seeing the shards are the purpley thing. Those are the microtransactions. But it seems to also be all in-game too, which is kind of nice. So I mean, that's something I do give props to, is the fact that you get the option to kind of decorate it with in-game currency, where you can just buy it, I guess, if you'd like. It is kind of annoying to go in and out of missions. So when you are kind of wanting to join a mission, so much loading in this game. When you are wanting to go into a mission, make sure you pick the mission before you go to the expeditions thing, because then you have to do the whole animation where you get in the suit and you pick the thing again, and you got to wait for it to load. Great, so we got the mission highlighted. That's the free play one I was doing. And then we're able to switch, and it'll tell us where we are. Don't be afraid to talk to people too in here, because it might get like new activities and stuff to do. Obviously, the main hall is a great place to go and kind of meet people and see things. If you've ever been curious about certain challenges, they have the daily, weekly, and monthly trials present on this table, and you can see your alliance status with others. Keep in mind that when you are in the main area, you can actually hold in the left stick to kind of run. It's not fast, but it's a little bit quicker for getting to places, because this can get a little tedious. When you are jumping and you're usually double glitched, outfit, you can press B or equivalent platform to skip the animation, because it does get kind of tedious. And then you can choose your difficulties and pick your squad and everything from here. Your consumables you unlock eventually, but whatever. Great, so we're into a mission now. This is a good situation to kind of talk about some aspects of working with others. Try to keep your teammates alive. It makes a big difference in the game. And keep up with your team, because you don't want to deal with this constant sort of loading thing. So if you're doing a mission and you're kind of a little bit away from people, you will be teleported ahead, and you might even be like just a few feet behind them, but you'll just be out of that radar, and then you have to deal with the annoyance of like having to load and then be loaded like literally 5 seconds ahead of just where you were, which can get super annoying. At least I think so. I mean, I don't know anyone that really likes loading. But yeah, generally stay with each other. Let the classes do their different individual work. I mean, the bigger guys are going to be a little bit more of a brawler. I like to do a bit of a medium situation where I'm not directly going into combat, but I am sort of a medium distance away firing at things. Again, using elevation to an advantage. And if you're injured or you're getting shot at, do not be afraid just to fly away. We have this wonderful ability just to kind of fly, give yourself a bit of a cooldown in a safe area before jumping into the combat, because you're no use to your teammates when you're downed or dead. Again, using that sort of elevated positioning here, I get a nice little tactical overview of what's happening, and you get quite a few seconds up in the air while you're doing this in order to strike. You should mostly be unstoppable in your squad, but I always think it's a good kind of idea to have one person just hovering a little bit back further from the other guys in case people start falling. Just as a revive point and a little bit of a, you know, a distance individual, just adding support. Fire instead of everyone being all guns blazing, because you never know when a big creature might come in and roll all of you over, and you'll go, ah. I mean, it's fairly easy going on checkpoints and stuff, but at the same time, it's like, ugh, who wants to deal with the inconvenience, am I right? So anyways, I think that's generally it. I mean, there's not a lot really to go over, like, too deeply in terms of, like, tricks and everything in this one. I think I covered it quite well. I gave you an overview of stuff. Just remember movement. You want to keep yourself flying. When you're in combat, you always want to keep moving. And you want to stick together with your team because you're deadlier as a group than alone. And this is a social experience. I really think there's more value in being together than there is being by yourself. Yeah, this transport to mission area, we're like right beside our teammates. So that's what I was talking about, that little window that comes up. It's just so annoying. Oh, flying creatures. I definitely use a bit of a tracker if you have one on you. I'd aim for them first because they can do a lot of damage being above you and launching things down at you. And yeah, that's basically tips and tricks for Anthem. I hope that helps out on your journey to become a more deadlier freelancer.